What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So I want to discuss what is going on right now because a lot of people are asking, why is everything getting worse? Well, there's a reason for it, and I want to address what's going on. First off, just welcome back to another economic update and a daily news report. I want to talk about what's happening because this is shocking. Things are getting worse. This is what experts are telling us and have been telling us for quite some time. This is even what the White House has said multiple times, but without actually saying the words. They've said things like, things may be difficult for some. They've also said the American people will feel the pain temporarily. Those are just a couple of the things that the White House has said. But the truth is, we know things are getting worse, and the reason is because there's nothing being done to make things better. This happens with so many things. This is happening with gas prices, with food prices, with the war over in Ukraine. This is happening with jobs, mortgages, right? Everything in between is being impacted, even COVID, right? So let's talk about what's happening right now. Let's just dive into one of the shortages, which is fertilizer. Fertilizer is in short supply. It is in short supply and has been for quite some time. Prices have skyrocketed over the past 3 to 4 months as a result of the short supply. Again, a lot of fertilizers coming from Russia and Ukraine. But the reason why some are saying that we are now starting to see more of a moderation is because it took demand destruction to finally bring prices down by about 30%. That's good news. But essentially, the hard part with this is it's hurting farmers because farmers had to stop buying fertilizer in order for prices to stabilize. But the problem there is, what happens when a farmer stops fertilizing their crops? Well, the crops are likely to not produce as much as they did in the past, which means we have a food problem, a crisis. We're producing less food. That's a real issue. And that's just fertilizer. Now let's look at the other problem. The other crisis is gas. There are experts that say fuel prices can easily reach about $5 per gallon here nationally in the US. And this could happen over the next week. As of right now, just to give you an idea, gas prices here in the United States, as of today, May 29th, we are now averaging $4.61 per gallon. If we look at diesel prices are now $5.52 a gallon, which is actually a decline from a week ago when they were $5.56 a gallon. So, big difference. But when you adjust for inflation, the gas price now at $4.61 per gallon, that's actually the highest it has been in the past 10 years. That's not a good record to hit. But what are we doing about this? Well, that's the issue. The Biden administration has provided about 180 million barrels of oil, and that came from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. However, it did very little. Right now, some drivers are actually driving less as a result of higher gas prices. They're trying to save money, spend their money and their income in other places, like for food and for housing and shelter. But the problem is that only goes so far. The truth is that here in the United States, we are dependent on gasoline in our everyday lives. That turns into a major issue, especially when we do not have the capacity to produce as much as we need. Well, even when the refinery capacity here in the United States, it dropped by about 1 million barrels per day over the past 2 years. This really hurt us. This really hurt. In the U.S., our operable refinery capacity, it used to be much higher, but just in the past year, it was sitting at 18 million barrels per day. That's the lowest it has been since 2015. Even AAA expects that this is going to impact us. But AAA is saying that we are not experiencing demand destruction for gasoline just yet. And they're saying this because just for Memorial Day weekend, that's this weekend we are in right now, AAA is expecting more than 39 million people to hit the road this weekend and travel at least 50 miles away from home. That's an issue because that's not something we're prepared for. But again, it's something that is happening. Now, here's another thing that's happening, which is already impacting people that are traveling. I've seen many reports on this. I've actually talked to a couple friends who are traveling over this weekend, and their flights have been delayed. Why? Because of things like COVID outbreaks. Yeah, it's coming back. According to reports, last year the United States was recording roughly 20,000 COVID cases per day. This was right around Memorial Day weekend. This year, we are now reporting more than 100,000 cases per day. This is a big jump, or more than 5 times. And the expectations that cases are going to surge the week following this holiday. That's where things are going to get even worse. Because what we're seeing now is airlines are canceling flights or delaying flights because they can't get crew members. Because, well, a pilot or a stewardess, they actually tested positive, so they can't come into work for 5 days. That's troubling. Now, experts say that we knew this was going to happen. We knew that this was a calculated risk to take all our masks off, especially when we're indoors. They said this is part of the reason why they delayed the decision, but it was something that we knew was going to happen, and it was going to happen eventually. So just understand, there could be a push from some states and cities to implement a indoor masking once again, but it likely will not be pushed from the federal level. Now, one thing I want you to understand is that when you test positive, you're still expected to self-isolate for 5 days, which means you would miss work for that period of time. This is what we're experiencing right now. Again, this is what's shocking about everything, is because a lot of people are saying, oh, it's what's happening over in Ukraine. It's food shortages, right? Because of Ukraine. It's gas prices because of, well, what Russia is doing in Ukraine. Everyone's pushing the responsibility over on Russia and Ukraine. And yes, it does take, Russia is, responsible for a lot of the issues we're seeing, or a lot of the increased issues, but the underlying problem is still the same. We still have this virus going on in the United States. It is still impacting us day after day. And just to give you an idea, a week ago, I went into a rather large grocery store. I only need to pick up a handful of things. There were only 2 cashiers working on a peak time. It was in the middle of the week. Okay? Now, what was interesting about this, and I later found out, that this was due to an outbreak among the workers. Well, they didn't have anybody else to call in. It's the same thing with airlines. It's the same thing with sometimes hotels and the hotel staff. I remember trying to check into a hotel a few weeks back just for one night. Well, I couldn't check in for about 3 hours later because they didn't have as many people cleaning the rooms. There was only 2 people. 2 people. It was like 100 and some rooms. There's 2 people cleaning them. So I couldn't check in for like 3 or 4 hours later than I was expected to. So again, these problems are going to persist. They're not going away. So just understand, as we move through these different issues and move past this holiday, just understand there's more to be coming. Expectation is everything is going to get worse. All right? So just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Have an incredible Memorial Day tomorrow as well. I will be back on here later today, fill you in on just a quick little update, but I will most likely be on here tomorrow as well. I've been fairly consistent with videos, so just keep you updated on everything that's going on. I will be spending time with friends and family, so I will be doing that, but the expectation is I'm still going to do 2 videos a day tomorrow as well. So again, don't miss any updates. Make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button so you don't miss anything going forward, and I'll see you guys on the next one.